back, everyone, to the Fortin Borough Corporation's Women's Symposium 2026. And to remind you all of who our sponsors are, because without them, we would not be able to have this amazing show tonight. National Flour Mills, AP Scott, Bryden PI, Blue Waters, and Zad and Eastman. We are on to our final, I know, yes, you're as sad as I am, our final panel tonight, but it would be just as impactful and great and memorable. Joining me this evening, we have His Worship, the Mayor, Alderman Clyde James. We also, yes, a round of applause for him, thank you.
Good night.
Dr. Nian Gadsby Dolly. She is the Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East. Please give her a lusty, warm Fortin welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Additionally, we have Alderman Brianna Fortune John, as well as Ms. Marilyn Ramnarayan Singh, and she is a councillor for Fanny Village, Captiville. And our beloved CEO of the Fortin Borough Corporation, Ms. Victoria Allam. Welcome to each and every one of you. Now, I know we're going to have a very rich discussion, so I'm going to start with Dr. Nian Gadsby Dolly, and I'm going to ask you, what motivated you to enter into politics?
Well, it's an interesting story, but I would say family, right, and the desire to give back. My country has been good to me. Right. Coming from a circumstance where I would not have been able to pay for university, government policy allowed for me to attend university. It allowed me to attend and to be educated up to the level of a doctorate. Right. And therefore, when presented with an opportunity, though I was a little hesitant at first, it was my brother that said to me, you know, the country has given a lot to you, and an opportunity is there for you to give back. And having a teachable spirit, which I try to cultivate, I said, okay, brother, this is my big brother. I said, okay, brother, and that was what made me offer myself the desire to give back to a country that has been good based on government policy.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm going to go right on to Ms. Brianna Fortune John. I know that you have served as a councillor before, and you serve as an alderman now. In your role, I've seen you be very forward with women empowerment. And I'd like to find out, you know, where does that come from? Where does that desire, what motivates you to do what you do and how you do it?
Oh, that's a very good question, especially for women in politics, which is this segment, you know. Yeah. I grew up with powerful women. I grew up with my grandmother, which I always tell that story. I think I told that story here on another dispensation, which is in the past. And I grew up with my mother, so a single mother and a grandmother who would have been resilient and would have been determined to raise upstanding citizens, which I consider myself to be, because sometimes you feel when you come from a broken home, sometimes it might be in the minds of others you may be at a disadvantage, but seeing my grandmother and my mother put the kind of effort that they did into raising myself and my two other siblings, it really played a pivotal role in my life. And that's why, for me, as a young woman, I'm always very determined to help other young women come forward and to really achieve all that they can, no matter their circumstances, no matter their beginning. I always believe that no matter where you come from, once you have God and once you are determined, you can achieve anything. And I believe women can achieve anything that they put their minds towards. I'm not disputing that men can't, but I believe that women have a strength that is beyond understanding, because for a woman, sometimes, you know, you're a mother, you're a provider, you are many. We are so multifaceted. You know, we have to do and be so much at times. So for me, in politics, I use my platform to be a positive role model for young women. Even older women sometimes come to me and say that I'm an inspiration, which I'm very humbled by, because anybody who knows me know that I'm so very humble. I'm so, as you say, you might be seeing me a lot, but I really just do this all because of the love of it and paying it forward, and really I see it as ministry unto God. So therefore you'll always see me doing everything with my whole heart, with my whole soul, and that's why I think that sometimes I make the type of impact that I do, which I always give glory to God at the end.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm seeing a lot of themes running through in terms of Dr. Nian would have talked about support and encouragement from persons around you who see the potential and wanting to give back. And it falls really nicely into what you were saying in terms of having that passion to really give back and even help others see what people help you see in you, help others see in themselves as well. That's beautiful. Going to Ms. Ramnarayan, Councillor. Same question with Brianna. What motivates you to become a woman in politics and the impact that you make?
I would say that based on my lifestyle and in my household, my father would have been involved in politics. My mother would have been too. My father died when I was very young, and my mother would have been a single parent of 7 children. And our house was where all the activities came out. I remember Best Village being practiced in our house, and every possible thing that was being done in that house. So in 1984, I started to work in Capelani's at that time. Many of you would remember Capelani's. And you were too young. And I continued working until 2009. And in 2009, I decided to retire. But sometimes when we make plans, God changes things around. And in 2010, I was involved in so many community activities, and I'm very much involved in my church. So I got a call to, represent. And the rest is history. Excellent. And I felt, yesterday I was telling somebody, I felt that this has been the most rewarding aspect of my life. Just being a counselor, I feel like this is the happiest time I've ever been in my life. I enjoy my job. I enjoy being out there. And I feel because I talk so much, I'm always all over the place. Sometimes my husband say, he see the smoke under my feet. Right. Because I'm itching to go, ready to go all over. And I enjoy it, and that's it. And I give God all the honor and all the praise for that.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. CEO, Ms. Alam, I want to find out, now your position as CEO is no easy task. I know that. There's a lot of management, there's a lot of leadership. And of course, with leadership, there's always personalities. As a woman in leadership, what do you do to keep yourself grounded, to stay true to who you are, and to lead with confidence?
Afternoon, everyone. Evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here. What do I do? As a woman in leadership, and especially as a CEO, you have to find that mentor who you can take the positive values from. Also, without God and in managing, because remember, you are heading the administrative arm and you're dealing with the politicians. Politicians are concerned with the ends. You as the administrator is concerned with the means. And you have to try to maintain that emotional intelligence in how you do what you do. And most importantly, I reached that point to start not taking things personally, because it's not my ability. The politician has their mandate. I as administration has a mandate. But in the end, the organization has the mandate. So what I have to do is just strategize. So as a person, what you have to do is have your mentor, develop yourself, learn to strategize, know when to step back, revisit, reassess. So at
That's
that point.
a proper step-by-step guide that you have given there. I want to add the mayor to the question, Your Worship. Now, obviously, you're the man in the mix. However, you would have contributed, if not birthed, this forum. And I would like to know, what is your vision and what is the impact that this Women's Symposium should have, and that you have seen those results from?
To answer your question, I'll have to give you a little bit of history. My involvement in politics started back in 2000. And the person responsible for me to be in politics at that time, even though it was behind the scene, was a lady that was very dear to the hearts of Point Fortin people, a lady called Jean Alexander. She was known to be the mother of politics in Point Fortin. And I was involved with Jean during the time of that period, working behind the scenes, helping people. And the thing about her, she's a person of service. That went on until 2007, when we got the first female MP in Point Fortin, a lady called Paula Gopi Schoon. Paula and I grew up together from way back in the 60s. And when she came back to Point Fortin as our MP, she brought me on board. And working with Paula was a dream come true. And even though she had very high aspirations for me as a politician, I never saw being a frontline politician as my mandate. I was always working in the background. Until 2022. And nevertheless, even though the women played a very important part in my political history, the person who brought me to the forefront was our former MP, Kennedy Richards. He used to call me his son. And I say used to, not because of him being out of politics, but because I've taken a different turn in my political career. And that allowed me the opportunity to operate as a politician with a different perspective. Not operating from the background, but going to the forefront. And coming to the forefront, you realize that your mentors had a very important part to play, and the female aspiration of it was very inspirational. Women are the backbone of our community. We don't pay much attention to it. They are our mothers. They are the ones who control our families. They are the ones who mold our society. Let's look at it. Look at your schools. 90% of your school teachers in primary school are females. They are the ones who are molding our young people and molding the minds of our future. They are the ones who charter the course of where we go from here onwards. So, from that aspect, you realize how important females are to us. And to me, it was very instrumental to where I am today. And I say hats off to those who have in the past who have been an impact on my life as a politician, and those who are presently here with us, charting the course of where we go. Look where we are today in Trinidad. A female president, a female prime minister, a female leader of the opposition. And if you look around us, the most important people around us are females. So we have to take cognizance of it. They are the ones who are molding our future. And I am grateful for it.
Thank you very much for sharing that and place an emphasis on the many roles that women play in each and every one of our lives. I want to ask Dr. Nian Gatsby Dolly, in terms of women in leadership, and know you've served and still serve, what challenges, what do you see as common threads that challenge a woman in leadership?
One of the main things would be the need to be all things to all people. I often tell women, don't apologize for being a woman. Don't apologize for what comes along with your womanhood. You're a mother, and the mayor said it. In our society, many women are the center of the home, whether you're a single parent or not. And therefore, you have responsibilities there. And one must not be made to feel that you are neglecting your responsibilities at work to be able to tend to your responsibilities at home. And that is a common challenge. Women carry around a lot of guilt. Because you feel guilty because you want to take time from work to see about your children. You feel guilty because you're not spending enough time with your children. You feel guilty because you're not doing enough for yourself. So you feel guilt in a lot of areas. You feel guilty because you're not spending enough time with your husband. You feel guilty because, and it goes on. And that is a major challenge. And women in leadership have to get to the place where you understand you cannot be all things to all people. And if you spend time in one place, something else must suffer. And it really is a balancing act to decide, okay, how am I going to devote my time today? What is going to get the majority of my time today? And sometimes it may not be your work schedule. Sometimes it may be your family. Sometimes it may be your children. But you have to understand and stop feeling guilt when you take time to do things that are important. And that includes self-care. That includes taking time to rest and to sleep. That includes taking time to go to the doctor and do some of the tests that I heard the goodly doctor speak about earlier. Every part of your life is important and it must be balanced. Sometimes in society, we women feel the need to work so much harder than men. And therefore we neglect ourselves. And we feel good when we say, "Woo, I worked for 18 hours today, you know." We feel good.
It's true.
Because that is glorified as what should be right. It is not right, ladies. And it is not fair. And it is not healthy. And it is not sustainable. You know, so I'm speaking from the point of view of a bona fide workaholic who had to understand that this was not it.
What brought you to that point?
God brought me to that point. And I offer it to all ladies who feel we have to work harder, overachieve, and neglect ourselves in the process. It leads to sickness, it leads to mental burnout, and it leads us to not live the best lives we can. So that to me is one of the major challenges that women must face, must take cognizance of, and take control of your life. This is one life we have.
Yes.
Live all aspects of it to the fullest, not just the working part.
Thank you very much. Yes, definitely a round of applause for that. All the women in the room can identify having a children, no children, workaholic. We all find ourselves there. And what I want to know is, and I'll ask the other ladies, how do you all circumvent that? How do you go around that? How do you find the balance? What gives, what doesn't give?
Well, I want to piggyback off of what the minister would have said. For me, what really changed my life is not feeling guilty. You see, that guilt that Dr. Gatsby Dolly spoke of, it is so real because you really you overcompensate for some reason. I believe we may have been cultured that way, which is something that I am trying to allow myself to unlearn, make sure that my daughter learns another way, you know. So what worked for me is really letting go of that guilt and learning how to say no. You see those two letters that make up that word? It is equally important as any yes that you can say. And I learned how to say no. And when let me just go backwards. Last year, what I would have done, I dedicated a lot of time to myself because I am a very selfless person. And when person realize that about you, sometimes they take advantage of that aspect of you. And I realized that a lot of things was, I wouldn't say falling apart, but it became so challenging to be me. And I had to take a step back. And one of the things I did was also what would have been said by Dr. Nyan Gasbidoli and the doctors and nurses before. I personally started to take better care of myself. So last year was dedicated to Brianna. So I started going to the gym. I started reading positive books. I started doing things that I liked even before politics, because sometimes you get so busy and you really let go of who you are. And just those simple steps and becoming disciplined, getting up 4 o'clock in the morning to go in the gym, and just seeing myself being able to achieve these things and really doing it for me and not anyone else, it really impacted my mental health. It allowed me to be a better mother to my children. It allowed me to be a better employee on my job. It allowed me to be a better politician. And it also allowed me to do something that sometimes it's so difficult to do, is compartmentalize my life. So there were moments, as Dr. Nyan Gasbidoli said, when I got up one morning and I didn't feel like doing anything, I would call in sick. And I would say, I'm not coming today. Literally not coming today. I would see my phone ringing and I would be like, I would return that call, because I was in a place where I feel like I had to answer all the phone calls. I have to do this, I have to do that. I was so paranoid. I feel like sometimes when I reach home and I see a paper on the ground, you feel like you had to do everything at the same time, and it really could cripple you as a woman, and a woman who might be a woman of excellence and feel like everything has to be perfect. Whoever is looking at me at this point in time, at no point in time you are required to be perfect. You are required to be yourself. You are required to, yes, you are human first. And if you don't take care of yourself, what will happen is you'll deplete and you won't be able to accomplish your God-given purpose. And sometimes you lose your talents because you're so exhausted. So for me, Kimberly, it was really taking better care of myself, not feeling guilty, and really pursuing my God-given talents. And the areas that might have been additional or what I see as dead weight, I just drop it off. Literally.
Yeah, that not feeling guilty and saying no is a hard one. It really is, when you're not accustomed having or setting boundaries. Right. And then you have to set boundaries and be selfish, which we are taught to not be.
Which is healthy.
Yeah,
it is healthy, and we need to promote that among young girls, that sometimes selfishness is very healthy.
Go ahead and give a round of applause. I heard it coming. Yes, definitely. And I'd like to hear Ms. Alam's point on that as well, in terms of how do you fight or go up against these challenges?
Well, to piggyback on what you all guys were saying, my journey to becoming a CEO, I was a single parent and no vehicle. Coming from Pinal, going through a divorce, and doing from a certificate to a master's program, and having to see about my children. I remember before I start into the senior administrative position in the public service, I took the bus and from the university, and I reached in San Fernando about 1:30. Rain was falling and I stand up in the rain and I crying. I am there crying. And I just stand and I'm like, is what? When I will get something. Because to me, I know slim figure. So I don't have a husband. Fighting to keep my home stable. So I don't want to leave the public service, and you know how the public services pay. And all I could do, I can't cook so good. So all I could do is my education. But I'm doing my master's, you know, and I'm feeling like I'm broken. I remember standing up in the rain and saying, what next, God? Like, when will you open that door? I got a car about 2 o'clock. And of course, when I reach home, so I have 3 kids to see about, I'm looking at the homework, because at no time, to me, when my children carry their homework at school and it is incompleted, in a messy way, it's a reflection on what is happening home.
Yes.
And I didn't want that to be shown. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm opening the books, and I'm waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 to wake them up to do over or tear the page what they did wrong. So I'm back 6 o'clock in the morning to go back, because I'm working in Portisville. And to balance that, you really, it's hard to stop when you're driving like that, you know. It's hard to stop, especially when you're a single parent. Thank God today, well, I'm a grandmother. My 19-year-old feel he's 91 at times and 1 at times. But I'm still there. I'm the background of my family. And I just can't help being the leader of my family. However, after the death of both of my parents last year, I could tell anybody, do not make death make it to understand what is family. Yeah? Because I used to boast long time. Once my mother and father are alive, or they could say all they want, do all they want, I know the prayers and my prayers. Well, God gave me 2, about a month apart. And at times during this journey, I oftentimes visualize myself in a wilderness with nobody. So I am venturing on going on vacation, but I can tell you, you see that family, don't give up on family, because work will always be there. And I want to remember, and that is real, and I want my family. I want to have fun. I want them to get vexed with me. I want them to love me, but I want to be there for my family. And I think especially single parents, we single parents, and I know many women, because sometimes we in relationship too, and we single, you know. Yeah? And especially when you are the breadwinner in the home, it is difficult to stop, not fight at all. That is all you know. That is all you know. So that balance of having that work life and having your family, I could tell people, love your family, because death is real and tomorrow isn't promised.
Thank you very much for that powerful message and for sharing your story. Ms. Ramnarayan Singh.
Okay, so being in public service can be very, very demanding. Yes, being in public service is very demanding. But to me, family life is my foundation. So I try to manage everything efficiently. Now let me tell you all something. I am an avid housewife, and I'm obsessed with cleaning. And I'm so, I don't know what's the word to describe it, but I don't like to eat out. I don't like to buy bread. I will eat bread if I bake it, and I will eat when I cook. So I cook 3 times a day because I need home-cooked food, and members of my council would know that Mala loves to eat. Right? So I need to cook. So one of the things, this is the reality of everything. We have a life in public service. Sometimes we go the extra mile, and it's still not enough. We give all of ourselves, and it is not enough. And as Brianna and Mrs. Dolly would say, sometimes we need to step back and look at the priority and love ourselves. Now, I have I try to manage things effectively because I keep telling my children, I have 2 young men, 34 years and 36 years old, and I tell them, if you cannot do something good, and I repeat it every day because I'm preaching it, if you cannot do something good, do not do it. So I address that in my personal life. I need to have my house in order, and when I go out there, the same passion that I'm doing in my house, I'm going to let my home out there in Captivate Family Village feel that same passion, because that is what I elected to be. And I need to put it out there and get everything done for the needs of the people. Now, mind you, it's not easy in all. Everybody look at a politician life and council and feel, oh my God, it's all cream and roses. But trust me, you have to have, as was one of my councillors said, you have to have belly to be a councillor. So we need to work around it, and we need to make time for yourself. Thank you, Ms. Dolly, for telling us that we need to make time for ourselves. But something amazing, I don't ever feel guilty, because I know there's time that I need to put Mala first. I mean, the people are there, but I cannot function if I do not, if I put myself burn out, I cannot address the needs of my people. So I need to put myself first. So that is it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Give them all a round of applause. These responses were so impactful.
Could I interject here?
Of course.
I'm sitting here listening to these ladies speak about their passion and how they have impacted their lives of themselves and their family. And as a male individual in business, it shows you the importance of a female around you. Right? Some people might take it in a different perspective. But when you're leading an organization, a female gives you a different perspective on every issue you want to deal with. Yeah. Right? And I have testimony in front of me here, my sister-in-law. Right? Here's my heartbeat. Any decision I have to make with my organization, she plays a very important part in it. Right. Because she will tell me things that I would not see myself, because I'm looking from a male perspective. And let me tell you something, I want to see things different from a man. Yes. And the things you're not looking for is what they will see. And the quiet word and the silent word in your ear will make a difference. Yes. And I've seen it on council also. I have a council of 12 with 2 females. Okay. And sometimes the things that the females will tell me will make a difference in the decision we make at council level. Yeah. The female aspect of anything you do is very important. So nevertheless, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't make yourself less than what you are. You have a very important role to play. And as you said, sometimes you need to take time for yourself, because most of us as male do not take time off to understand what the females are going through. Yeah. Right? Sometimes you might see them in a particular frame of mind in the morning, but you don't know what went on in their household that day before. You don't know what happened with the child sick, going through a problem, you might have financial problems, and you have to find out what is going on. And a quick question, what is happening? As happened with my secretary the other day, I said, what's going on? Tom, sit down. Let me know what's going on with you. And she said, you worship nothing wrong. I said, tell me what is wrong with you. And then she burst out in tears. And I realized she had a problem. But because you didn't take up to ask that question, you would not know. And because she don't want to burden you with her problem, you will realize that if you didn't intervene, you would not be able to help her. And by not helping her, you would not be able to help yourself. Because if you don't have your personality or persons around you function at the optimal level, you cannot get the job done properly. So you realize how important the female aspect in your life is in. So let us step back as a male. Let us look at our female partners and people that work with us. Take time off to understand what they are going through. They're going through a lot. But it's important for us to understand what they are going through.
Most definitely. And as we had the conversation before in the Women in Health, we see how important it is for the men around women to be attentive, to be supportive, and there is that need. There is a role to play. There's a narrative now in society where you don't need a man, but at the end of the day, the support
I am not of that
that is
persuasion.
given. Pardon?
I said I'm not of that persuasion.
The support. The support that you get and can get is amazing, and it helps to ease the burden. So thank you, Your Worship, for encouraging men to be more attentive to the women in their lives and to dig a little deeper, because a lot of times we have surface conversations. Hey, where you going today? Good. Your hair look nice, and they move along with life, right? But there's a lot more that we have to sometimes kind of dig into the people around us to really find out what's going on. So as you had said, they can be at their best, so you can have the best performance. I want to find out, in terms of women in leadership for the future, what are your visions for women in leadership in time to come? What would you like to see? What's not there that you think should happen, and what not? Who would like to start?
Well, I can definitely start by saying I would like to see our parliament reflect even more than the 30% recommendation at this time, or the goal, the 30% goal for parliaments around the world in terms of representation of women.
Where are we now in terms of percentage?
Unfortunately, we have slipped way back. At one point, in the last couple of years, we were just about 30. Now there are significantly less women in the parliament. So I would say I don't think we are even above 20% at this time. And that is a significant shift, though we can feel proud of the representation at the level of the opposition leader, the prime minister, and the president. The parliament has suffered. And I think, for me, I would like to see in years to come that we have a lot more women represented. I would personally like to see a change in terms of not 50-50. I think we need to go to at least 70-30 in favor of women to actually see the difference. At the end of the day, women still have challenges that we have to overcome, and therefore to really see what a woman-led country and a woman-led parliament would look like, we don't need 50-50. Mayor, sorry. We need a little 70-30 for a couple of years. Ladies, you agree with me? Yeah, we need that. And it needs to be sustained. It must not be a one-off. It needs to become the norm. So we need to reach the point where it's not a goal to have 30% representation of women. It should be the norm that we have minimum 50. And when this starts to happen, we will really be able to see more influence of women, because you would realize in politics there are roles that women play. Even in a cabinet, there are roles that women play. So, for example, have we ever had a female minister of finance? Yes. These are the kinds of things that we have to understand, and women have to step into those roles that are seen as the hard roles. You see women in social development, you see women in education, you see women in the softer areas. So we need to now really see the influence of women in some of the more traditional male-held roles at the level of the cabinet. And that, I think, will start to make the types of changes. As Mayor said, there are perspectives that men hold and there are perspectives that women hold. Women lead differently. And as women, we must not feel we need to lead like a man. But to see how a woman would do things, the woman has to be given the opportunity. So that is my hope for the future. And when I see mentorship programs, even at the level of the Women's League, we've had mentorship. The Parliament, as the Women's Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, they have a mentorship program going on now, and it is to encourage more women to be in these positions so that we can really see the effect of woman and women leadership. So that's my goal.
Oh, that's a big one. Thank you.
You know, to add to what you just said, outside of politics, you realize that the studies have shown that women are taking the leap, right? Look at academia. Our attendance at university levels now is skewed towards female. You have more female lecturers, right? You go to the lower levels, secondary and primary school. Most of the teachers at that level are females. You go into business, right? Most of the people who are in high position in the business sector now are female. Even though politics have fallen behind a bit, but when you look at the other aspect of academia and business sector, women has taken a leap-bound role. Yes, we had a female Minister of Finance in Trinidad, right? Karen Teixeira. She was, even though she was only for 3 years, but she was a Minister of Finance, right? And again, she was doing a good job, but we had a snap election and things turned differently at that time. But nevertheless, we need more of the female to bring that aspect of change, right? As I said, women look at things from a different perspective. They look at it from the minute aspect. We look at it from the macro aspect. We look at the overall aspect of things. We look at the general management of things. But the women go to the minute part, the things that we may think to leave out, right? And it is recognized. I was with our CEO yesterday morning. We were looking at something. I can't remember what it was. And when she brought out certain aspect of what we were discussing, we didn't see it. The deputy mayor and myself was there, and we didn't see it until she brought it to our attention. And not because we don't know the politics, but because we are not looking at that aspect of it. And thank God we had a CEO who looks at the minute aspect of things that make things work for all of us.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to go to Brianna in terms of your vision for women in leadership.
Well, I think that Dr. Nian Gaspidali would have covered a significant portion of what I had in mind. So for me, I would just continue to add on what she has said, is that I would like to see women be given opportunities without considering the fact that they are a woman, Sometimes an opportunity may arise and the first thought may be a man might be fit for it because women are judged based on all the facets that we come with, family aspect, emotional aspect. Some people will be like, certain positions require a male because of, and I would like us to move away from that because of mentality, because every aspect of a woman matters. It does. Because think about it, a big man would always love his mother because of the impact that she might have had on him. I could talk for like my grandmother, didn't finish school and was able to steer a family in a direction that is positive and is uplifting. So as we continue as young women in our society, as Mayor would have said, dominated in academics and all these things, why not give women the opportunity to do more? But for me, I just want to just stray away from that aspect of it because I think Dr. Nian Gaspidali would have done a really good job. But I want to see young women believe in themselves. I want to see young women look at themselves in the mirror. Especially for me, I would like to say young black women like myself, because growing up, you have challenges. There are young women who I speak to sometimes, they find their skin is too black. They find their hair is too short. They find their lips are too big. Their eyes are too big. Their nose is too broad. They are this, they are that. And I would like any young woman that is looking to us now to know that you are created in the image and likeness of God. There is no two persons on this planet. We know that everyone has a independent fingerprint, and I would like young ladies to know that they are important. I'd like them to know that they are special. I'd like them to know that a man don't define who you are. And I am pro-man. I'm not saying no, I'm not taking away from that. But it's so important to understand your identity as a young woman. No matter where you would would have been born and you grew up. Where you start does not determine where you end. It does not determine your finish. So once you can, as a young woman, believe in yourself, develop that self-confidence, as the CEO would have said, search out for a mentor, because all those things are important. I believe that we can achieve anything.
Definitely.
I believe that we can achieve anything, Kimberly. So for me, piggybacking on what Dr. Nian Gaspidoli said, I would also like young women to see their value just as they are and build from that.
Thank you very much. And that also ties into what we had talked about in women in fashion and beauty, and realizing who you are and striving towards becoming who you are. And even the book that Ms. Bernard had spoken about, in terms of becoming you, more of you, and discovering you and exploring the world to find more of you. Thank you. I know we are pressed for time a bit, so I would ask the two of you to be a little more brief in your responses. Thanks.
No problem. So I will just go back to when I won the Miss Big and Beautiful in 1999-2000. Whatever your heart conceive, you can achieve. And sometimes we women could be our worst enemies. We have to learn to respect each other, and also, unfortunately, on the political side, in the administrative stream, we have 97% that are women. And I would like to take this opportunity to say that I have my deputy CEO here, Miss Alicia Daniel Worrell. She's my deputy CEO, and she has been a brick for me. She worked together with me. And what I would like to see for the future is a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Build that network, build each other, and stop breaking down each other. Whether it is in the political arm or the administrative arm, be mindful, be respectful to each other. Because in the end, the struggles we fight to reach where we are. So just be that strength, network with each other, and we will be a force to be reckoned with. We already are a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely. Thank you very much for that. And it ties into the theme, power in progress together, most definitely.
So I just want to say, young women need motivation, they need visibility, they need access. And when young women see leaders like you all, they would want to become leaders. And it is easy for them because they have good examples. One thing that I'm very passionate about, I would have worked in CPEP from 2014 as a field officer to 2019. And then from 2019 to last year, I would have worked in URP as a material supervisor. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is that everyone would have seen that CPEP, URP, reforestation, all those companies would have been terminated. There are so many women in Point Fortin who have lost their livelihoods. They have lost their hope. They would have maybe lost their husbands because they don't have a job coming in. You know what it's like for a woman not to have $1 coming in, not to have anything coming in, and there's no programs in place to let women survive. And it is very tough. And I'm talking about Point Fortin. Our own women in Point Fortin, simply in Captiville and Fannyville and throughout Point Fortin. And what I'm saying is that, if we need to make a change, we can make a transformational change. And, introduce programs, maybe life skills. Before there was that one, life skills, there was another one. Yes.
Community development and so.
So, even though they don't have jobs, they could learn to build themselves and move on and do something, because there are a lot of single parents. And this is where we need to motivate women. And these same women, because of the hardships that they are going on, they can grow up to be the finest leaders in this country. Because most of us would have gone through hard times, and it would have brought us where we are. And it would have shaped the diamond in the process. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for sharing that. And you see, you all are all leaders that people see. And sometimes we forget that leaders are humans too, that leaders have lives too, that leaders go through the same struggles. So I want to thank you also very much for sharing your stories and how you got to where you are and the things that you have to go through, the balances, the sacrifices, the boundaries even. I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing that with us this evening. And I'd like to ask the mayor to just close off on this wonderful panel.
Once again, I would like to thank the ladies here this evening for sharing their time, showing them their aspect of leadership in the community of Point Fortin and beyond. And this forum today was one that was something that the corporation has started many years ago, showing up at what the importance of the female aspect of life is. And tonight was a testimony of what we are and what we can do as females. Right? I want to thank them to be part of this panel, being the only male that was here tonight. I'm happy to be the sole individual here. And I want to thank you, Madam Gasvidali, for taking time from your busy schedule to be part of this panel here this tonight. And also the other members of my corporation who was part of planning this whole aspect of this symposium and be part of this panel. And I know that this will go far and far, and everybody will benefit in the long run. I once again thank you all for coming here this evening and be part of this experience. Thank you very much.